Hi everyone and welcome. FPL Matt Day here. This is the live Game Week 12 Fantasy Premier League stream. Not long until deadline at 4 a.m. here in Australia on the East Coast and 5 p.m. at UK. We've got a midweek deadline. I can't wait for this. It's going to be unbelievable. It's just huge to have back-to-back FPL, Game Week 11, Game Week 12 and then Game Week 13 in a few days. If you are new around here, if you can just give the channel a like and a subscribe, that would be awesome. Give the video a like and turn on the notifications so you don't miss a video. Like I said, big game week. So for a big game week, we need another member for the podcast. And I've brought in Quentin Dunn from the FPL Amateurs of Oz. You've probably seen him around on Twitter. And obviously he's got his own podcast as well, which has a lot of listeners here in Australia and also in the UK. So here he is, Quentin. Are you all ready for Game Week 12? How you going, mate?
Yeah, mate, I am absolutely pumped to see what will happen tomorrow morning, because previous times in the midweek fixtures, there's always those real random results. So, sometimes there's a game where you think it's going to be tight and it's like 4-1. And yeah, there's a lot of unexpected stuff that happens these midweek games. So I'm actually excited to see what happens this game week, and also I'm pumped to see Man United versus Spurs. I think it's going to be a good game.
That's a very good point, actually. We've got Man United versus Spurs, which is actually a huge game for this game week. It's obviously a big game for us Spurs, because we've been on good form, and then you guys probably need a win now. And I've got you on the podcast just as our teams play each other, so that's actually a really, really good point. But you're right; these midweek games do serve up some random scorelines, some really results that we don't always expect. So yeah, it's going to be a big game week. But yeah, great to have you on. And yeah, I haven't actually got the Spurs shirt on. I've realised you've got the United shirt on for this one, which is
just the winning teams on the pod tonight, mate. We don't need to wear that other stuff.
Yeah, he's confident. But I'll just bring up a couple of comments that did come in. We had Football Ferreira comes on the stream and gets his comments in quite a lot. Big up, brother. Thanks for joining the stream, mate. Great to have you here. And then on to the ball. Another really good channel as well to check out. So both of those guys, come and check out really good channels. And we've also got Rosto Zorneta. Sorry, I probably butchered the pronunciation there, mate, but have a good stream, he says. Thanks, mate. Really appreciate it. And thanks for all of the support from you guys. We both really appreciate it for tonight's Game Week 12 deadline stream. So look, let's get straight into it. We're going to start off with the fixtures. We're going to do the fixtures, and then we're going to do the differentials, captains, player picks, and then the questions that come in the comments, and the questions that I've been sent on Instagram as well. But let's dive in straight into the fixtures for this week. So I'm going to just share my screen. Quentin has kindly provided the fixtures for this week, the FPL Amateurs of Oz fixtures for week 12. So yeah, good stuff there, Q. Let's start off with the first game then. We've obviously got two games on the opening night, which is obviously Wednesday morning for us, Tuesday night in the UK. So the first game we've got is Brighton versus Forest. Everyone, really 99% of people on Twitter and online are all kind of predicting this to be a bit of a whitewash and Brighton to win this game convincingly. What are your thoughts on this one, Q? What are you thinking result-wise? And who's the one player that you think FPL managers are on a free hit? Or are you looking at this fixture as a chance to get a green arrow, get a differential, just a good pick? Who do you think's the pick, and what's your score prediction?
I think obviously the obvious pick will be Trossard, but I actually don't mind Welbeck in this game. It's sort of, as I said, the midweek games throw up some weird results, or even like weird goal scorers where not a lot of people are sort of expecting it. And I could see Welbeck scoring a goal this week, but I definitely think Trossard is probably the best pick for this week. And I could see Brighton getting a 2-1 win here. I could see Brennan Johnson getting a goal. So I think this could be probably a fixture where Brighton have a lot of chances, but some weeks they don't finish their chances. So I can see him winning 2-1 and sort of having lots of chances in this game.
You can see the Brighton clean sheet being wiped out as well.
Yeah, I think so. And it's a lot of people did get in the likes of Webster and Dunk. But yeah, I'm one of those people that think Brighton's defense is all right, but I also sometimes think it's a little bit overhyped as well.
No, good points and nice stuff on the Welbeck pick. Just before I give my prediction, I'll bring PSB's comment in. Hello, Matty and Q. United v Spurs. Are we getting a watch along? You know what? I'm going to check the time for us here in Australia.
I think it's 6:30 from memory.
6:30 kickoff. Let's have a confirmation on 6:30 kickoff in the morning. 6:15. You know what? It could be potential. Look, I'll give away a quick secret. It is my birthday on that day, and I don't know if I want to start the day off with potential dodgy defeat at Old Trafford. But look, we may do a watch long. We'll have to think about it after the stream. I don't normally like to do watch longs for my own team because I just like to watch it, analyze it, watch it sort of in peace, and I don't like the goal notifications. But we'll have a think, PSB. But yeah, welcome to the stream. I hope you have a great FPL week, mate. But I do not want your team, Man United, to be Spurs. Anyway, Brighton Forest. Look, I'm going to go with. It's hard to back Forest, to be honest. I think it's 6 games without a win.
Yeah.
Look, I'll back Brighton. I'll go the 2-0 win. I do see what you mean, though. They do tend to be the games that you expect Brighton to keep a clean sheet, and they don't. But I'll just back it because of how bad Forest have been. They are kind of almost due a goal. You know, they did miss a pen against Wolves, and they did have a lot of opportunities. You know, Brighton haven't won under their new coach, so maybe this is the game. This is the perfect game for them. I'll go 2-0 Brighton, and I will back Trossard because I'll put him on the captain pick for this week, which I'm going to go through later on. But I'll back him because I think there's been a lot of talk about Trossard. You know, a few people saying, "Oh, is he going to start now because Lallana might come into the team?" But I just think from Brighton and what I've seen this year, yeah, I think I've got to pick Trossard as well, Q. But I do like your Welbeck pick. He's in one of my draft teams, so yeah, a couple of good picks from that game. So that's Brighton versus Forest. Let's go on to Crystal Palace versus Wolves. I'll start with this one. Obviously, Palace, really poor game against Leicester to watch, 0-0. Wolves haven't scored an away goal this season. With the way the game went on the weekend for Palace and the form Wolves have been on, no manager either, you're probably looking at this one as either a 0-0, which I kind of hope it is because I've got a Palace and a Wolves defender and Zaha, or maybe a 1-0, 2-0 Palace. I'm gonna back the 1-0 Palace. I'm gonna back the 1-0 Palace. I know Q wants the 1-0 Palace. I'm gonna back it, and I'm gonna back Zaha because he does like to get those sort of midweek goals every now and then out of nowhere, or midweek pen. You know, maybe Sa won't save this one. So 1-0 Palace. If you're on the free hit or you want a Palace player, I'm gonna go with Zaha as the pick. I also like Eze, and I also like Edouard, and I also like Gahey. So there's a lot of good picks from Palace, but I'm gonna pick Zaha as that midfielder pick. And 1-0 to Palace. What are your thoughts, Q?
Yeah, I was had a look at the previous fixtures. So Palace have won the last 2-0. So I'm backing a Palace win. For my sake, I'm hoping 3-1 win. And hopefully Kilman gets an assist for your side, just so sort of softens the blow. But yeah, I think Eze, Zaha, both great picks this week. I've actually brought in Edouard this week as well. So, you know, I could see him getting on the score sheet as well. But yeah, I could see Palace improving from last week because last week was very disappointing. I think, you know, I was talking up as, you know, match of the round with, you know, Madison versus Eze and, you know, Zaha and just turned into a 0 draw. It was not great to watch. So, yeah, I think that Palace are going to get back on the winners list this week and I could see them winning.
Yeah, good stuff. And I think, yeah, Eze is a good pick. Like, he's getting in and around the box a lot, I noticed. He's getting shots off. The Edouard one's an interesting one. I got burnt by him a lot last season, and then I got rid of him after having him, and he went on a really good run of goals, and he got some crazy scores. And I was just like, that's just typical. But Edouard come closest for Palace on the weekend. He's been getting the starts.
And Mateta's been horrible, so I can't see Mateta sort of really replacing him in the starting lineup.
Back in. No, I think you're right. I think it could be a good pickup. And I think again, it's like the Solanke move that I made. You put them in because obviously they're cheap. You can use the money elsewhere, and sometimes they end up shining and getting the big scores like Solanke did. Next
Yeah.
fixture, Bournemouth versus Southampton. Solanke, Big Dom Solanke. This is going to be a good game. This is a derby game, so a South Coast derby. Bournemouth versus Southampton. It's actually a big derby game down that way. Looking forward to this fixture. Some really good players to look out for. Saints have got a few injury worries now. Obviously, Solanke, who's in my team, he's done really well for me the last 2 weeks. Billing, who we spoke about many weeks ago now, he's in Q's team. So Q's really excited about Billing in this one. We'll give this one to you first, Q. What's your score prediction? And who's the man for this one? And I'm hoping you say Solanke, but we'll see what you say.
I actually think this is the game that's going to throw up a real weird result. I did have a look at the previous fixtures of them. So Southampton do have the wood on Bournemouth the last 3 fixtures, but yeah, this is just one of those games. I could see it being like a 3-3 game where no one expects, everyone expects it to be, a tight fixture. I think Solanke, unfortunately, he's going to score. I wanted to get him in this week, but I needed to get more funds in my team, so I end up going Edouard instead. But I think Solanke will get on the score sheet this week. I think Billing, this is going to be a game where Billing gets the goal, assist, and the 3 bonus. I think this is going to be a bit of a statement game, but I still think there's some assets from Southampton that have looked all right. I think is it Perrault that played is it a wide back there? Yeah, he looked really good. So, I could see people taking maybe a 1-week punt on him. I don't mind it because he does get, high. And as we speak in FPL terms, you want a defender that gets high, gets up the pitch and gets involved in the attack. So, a little bit of upside there. But, yeah, I think this is going to be one of those weird games where I could see like a big score that no one's sort of really predicting.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think, see, this game has a bit of spice to it, being a derby. They've always been very open affairs, and you're right. Like looking at the fixtures down the past, there's been 3-2 scores. There's been all sorts. So I'm going to bring up a couple of comments before I go into my prediction. But yeah, I do like the sound of Billing as well. Like this, he just loves goals at home, and he's showing the form now in the Premier League, like he showed in the Championship. And I almost look at Saints and the form they're on as kind of a championship side in a way. So like Bournemouth seem to like these types of games, like we saw against Fulham. Just a quick one back on the Palace game. PSB said he reckons Elise comes in and Zaha goes up front. Zaha was non-existent in the last game. It's an interesting pick. I think Elise is someone that I'm really excited to see get a real run of games at some point. That would be huge for us Zaha owners. Potentially not so good for Edouard if he gets put to the bench, but interesting point. We'll see what happens there.
Yeah, I think I've seen Elise start as well as Eze, Zaha, and Edouard. So, there's a good chance that all of them will play. Just I think Elise was playing a bit more, a bit deeper, sort of playing that Gallagher role, sort of when he used to drop back further into the midfield there.
No, why not? I think go for it. You're playing against a Wolves team that don't score many goals, so themselves. So if you attack them, what are they really going to do on the counter attack anyway? But back into the Bournemouth game, PSB has said Big Dom to score a hattie. I'm going to leave this comment up while I do my preview of this game because I agree with Q. I think there's going to be goals from both sides, but I think Bournemouth are going to get more goals than Saints. I think they are going to score 3 goals. I think Dominic Solanke is getting a double in this game. I think he is a huge captain pick for something completely different. I actually think he's going to get a couple of goals. Like I said, Bournemouth look at these games. There was once upon a time where Southampton were a much bigger club than Bournemouth. Everything about them was better. But now it's pretty even. Bournemouth are above them in the league. They're on a really good run under Gary O'Neill in charge. I'm going to go 3-2. I'm going to go a couple of goals for Big Dom Solanke. Billing to get the other one. Billing to be involved in the assist. I think it's going to be a huge game. And Dom Solanke is my pick. I'm backing PSB on this one. Just before we go on to the next game, which is Brentford versus Chelsea, another derby. We've got a couple of questions in the comments from Munir and Jermaine Edwards. We're actually going to do the Q&A just towards the end of the podcast. So stay in the podcast. We're going to wrap up these games, do some differentials and captains, and then we bring up all the Q&A. And we've got so much Q&A to go through. So keep getting your questions in. Really appreciate it. And if you are new, give the channel a subscribe, give us a like, follow. the socials. I'm FPL at FPL Matt Day, and then we've got Quentin Dunn at FPL Amateurs of Oz on Twitter as well and Instagram. Let's go on to the Brentford versus Chelsea game. This is going to be an interesting game because Brentford have had some really good home results this season. They obviously beat your team, Man United 4-0. They beat
Don't remember
Brighton.
that game, mate.
Yeah, Q doesn't remember it. They beat Brighton 2-0 in the last game, which was really impressive. Tony's been on fire. Then when they did play Arsenal, who obviously have that bit of extra quality, they lost 3-0. So this is going to be an interesting game. Look, I've got two different keepers of Raya and Danny Ward. So I've got to make a decision. Do I play Raya in this game against Chelsea on the hope that Brentford can get a 1-0 win, 2-0 win, take a 0-0 draw? Raya gets a number of saves and has the game of his life. Or do I go Danny Ward against Leeds? It's going to be a tough one. Let me know in the comments what you would do if you've got those two goalkeepers. At the moment, I'm on Ward.
Position.
And Q's in the same position. We both spoke about it and said we're probably going to go with Ward, but we would like to hear if anyone's going with David Raya. But yeah, this game, I think Chelsea will nick a goal. They're looking good under Potter of late. They seem to have tightened it up at the back because the defence was one of their biggest problems. Obviously, it's a shame Reece James is injured because he would have been brilliant in that game against Villa in game week 11. He'd have been brilliant for this fixture. Probably brilliant for all the fixtures coming up, but he's just obviously injured. So I'm just about going to back Chelsea for the win. I think I'll go 2-1. I think Chelsea will grab a couple of goals. I think Brentford will nick one. Maybe Tony to nick a consolation, which would be nice because he's in my team. But I'll back Chelsea, and I will back from Chelsea. I will back Mason Mount. Actually, I've never been a big Mason Mount fan in FPL, but he's on 2 back-to-back double-digit scores. This is Q's man, Mason Mount. So I'm going to back Mason Mount and a 2-1 win for Chelsea. Just a quick one from PSB. He's going to play Raya. Doesn't think he keeps a clean sheet, but he makes a lot of saves. That's a good point. And Q will talk about it now because Q's got a good assessment of David Raya that when Raya makes lots of saves and then if he makes a clean sheet, he ends up with double-digit scores like he did in the previous game. So what are your thoughts on this, Q? What's your scoreline? Who's your player? And what are you thinking about David Raya to play if you own him?
Yeah, I think I'll start with the result. I think that this could be a bit of a tricky fixture for Chelsea. We've seen last season, I think they Brentford at home beat them 4-1, but then the return fixture they lost 2-0. So I could actually see this being a bit of a sticky 1-1 draw, in my opinion. I could actually see 2-1 similar to your score as well, but I'm going to stick with the 1-1 draw. I think the picks for this week are going to be Chilwell and Aubameyang. I could see Aubameyang scoring. I could see Chilwell getting an assist. So I think 2 good shouts for this week. And in terms of Raya, that's the thing I love about Raya is when you're looking at his base stats for a goalkeeper, you're looking at almost 3 points every week because he makes multiple saves every week. And I really hate the goalkeeper position because 1 goal, wipes out a clean sheet. So you want to try and get those goalkeepers that have a nice floor of the save points. And, we saw on the weekend, they get the clean sheet. He has the save points. He gets the bonus, big scores. And, I think if you are looking at a goalkeeper, Raya this week definitely can get some saves against Chelsea. And you wouldn't surprise me if he comes away with 6 saves. So he almost gets 4 points if they don't concede too many goals. So, yeah, I like the Raya shout. That's why it's a hard decision for me to bench him over Ward. But, the night's still young. We'll see how we go.
Okay, and your pick is Aubameyang?
Yeah, Aubameyang and I think Chilwell this week.
Okay, and Chilwell. It's true about Raya. And I think the other thing about David Raya, and you make a good point, Q, is his saves. And we've actually seen him get 6 points this season. And there was a game week earlier on where he got 6 points and he actually did concede a goal. So, he does have that potential in him. Just before we go on to Liverpool versus West Ham, let's bring up some more comments. We head onto the ball with some cool emojis there. I think he's got a microphone, fire, and a picture of a football. Thanks for joining the stream, mate. Absolutely love it. PSB, I think we did mention this one, did say he's playing David Raya. The Goal Difference, another really good channel. So go and check them out. Had to take a compulsory -8 because of my City and Arsenal players not playing. Don't worry, mate. You're not the only one. And what you got to remember is a -8 this week is basically a -4 because for every player that doesn't play, and is then replaced by someone that does play and gets 2 points, you're only losing 2 points. So yeah, that's basically a -4. So don't worry, I've seen some -16s. PSB, Ward will concede 2. Leeds were excellent against Arsenal. Arsenal were lucky to win the game. They were lucky, and Leeds did have a lot of chances. Sometimes you get that, right? You get a team that just has chance after chance after chance after chance. And then the next game you think maybe they're just going to come out and score 2 or 3 or 4 goals. And then they don't. They end up having a bit of a stalemate. Anyway, that's what I'm hoping, because I might be edging towards Danny Ward. Football Ferreira with a big up, brother, and busy chat. Yeah, absolutely love that. Milner captain for Onto the Ball. And then we had a retaliation from Football Ferreira. Onto the Ball. Milner is finished, my friend. And then we've just had some laughs back, and then the goal difference. Just saying fair point about the -8 strategy. Yeah, I think this is the week to take hits. So if you're going to take hits, this is the week, because there's going to be a lot of teams doing it. Obviously, if you don't take hits, well, you're not doing a hit, are you, Q?
Not at the moment, but
no. Oh, don't tempt you. Yeah, mate, this is the week. It's a -2. It's a -2. So 2 transfers is like a -4. But anyway, Liverpool, West Ham, Q. What are you thinking? Who's your man to pick, and what's the score? What's the score going to be? A Liverpool back, a Salah back.
See, this could be. This is, I guess, historically a tricky fixture we saw last season. I think West Ham, did they get a 3-2 win against Liverpool? Then I think Liverpool beat them the second return fixture,
1-0.
For me, I could see this probably finishing 1-1. I know it's not very entertaining, but I think Salah is the pick this week. I was going through, having a look. Salah has 4 goals in his last 5 games against West Ham. But then also on the other side of it is Liverpool have only kept 1 clean sheet in 5 games against West Ham. So
wow,
I think Bowen could be a nice little pick, or a Skamaka. I could see Liverpool conceding this week. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise if it finished 1-1, but I could also see a 2-2 as well in goals in this game. So yeah, definitely think Salah and Bowen are sort of my 2 picks that I like this week.
Good stuff, Q. And I'm going to bring up some comments, because there's some interesting comments whilst you were speaking about this game. Just a quick one from PSP. No hit for him. He's fielding 11. Bora TV. Hello, Matt. Hello, Quentin. Just joined. Welcome to the stream, mate. For those that have just joined, just give the video a like. Give the channel a subscribe if you haven't done, and get in the comments. We've got plenty of good chat in here tonight. Onto the Ball. 3-1 Liverpool. Salah hat-trick. And then he's just retaliated back to yourself, Q. I'm not sure if you're still there, mate, because Q has just disappeared on the screen. But he says, what? 1-1 with a couple of emojis there, Q. So Q's actually left, mate. So I think he's left probably to change his score prediction. So he has now left the stream. So I'm sure he will be back in a second. PSB, Dawson Zuma out, Q. So Liverpool will score 3. That's a very good point, PSB. I like my transfer. I'll reveal my transfer now. I've gone Salah on the -4. He's my captain this week. I'm doing it. As Q mentioned, his record against West Ham is ridiculous. He's got 9 goals against West Ham in the Premier League, 3 assists. It's the most goals that he scored against any one team. So that's his best record is against West Ham. When I read that, when I saw that, it sold me. And then this stat as well, Dawson, Zuma, both being out. Yeah, that's absolutely huge. So yeah, I think I'm sold on Salah. Onto the Ball says, did you watch the Mighty Reds versus City? We're back. So he's confident. Bora TV, no chance 1-1. Salah will be feasting. And then On to the Ball is now laughing as Q disappears from the stream. Look, I want to give my my prediction. I think seeing this comment from PSB, and I had heard about Zuma being out. I didn't realise Dawson was as well. After seeing this, I know about Salah's record in this fixture. I'm going to back Liverpool to come out firing. I think they're going to want back-to-back wins at Anfield. I think they're starting to get players back from injury. Robertson's back. Trent's back. Q's not back, by the way. Q's not back. He's disappeared from the stream from now. But I think Liverpool, West Ham's injury problems, a midweek game at Anfield from London is not what West Ham want. They'll make it tricky for Liverpool. They might score a goal on the counter attack. We might see something from Bowen. Q is back in the stream, so welcome back, mate. Go check the comments, mate. Q, because we've had a few retaliations to
I saw it as I was leaving. Not happy. I didn't actually realize that Dawson that were out, but as I said, I just think these midweek fixtures throw up these random results where everyone's, going, okay, I can see Salah scoring 3 or a big result, and then we're watching the game and it's 1-1. Everyone's, left disappointed. So, I'm going on the other side of it, but I definitely could see goals in another world as well. So,
yeah, I'm going to predict. I think Liverpool will win this. I think it will be tricky. I think they might go sort of 1-0 up, 1-1, and then get that second goal with 20 minutes to go, and then maybe seal it later on. I'm going to back Salah as my pick, and I'm going to back 3-1 to Liverpool. I'm going to bring up a couple of quick comments that have come in. That was a good comment from Onto the Ball about Q being back with PSB. Dawson is struggling with fitness. I don't think he's going to be ready. Onto the Ball. You don't beat City to then drop against West Ham. Fair point, but you just never know, mate, in the Premier League this season. But yeah, it's going to be a very good game. And then a quick comment
what did United do?
He needs help from my FPL team. He's in a bad way. So, Josh, if you've got questions, get them in, because we're doing a live Q&A at the end of the stream. We've got 2 questions that have come in, and we've also got a couple of questions that I've got from my Instagram. So, yeah, get your questions in, mate, and we'll help you. So you just put your team down in the chat, and we'll go through it at the end, and we'll try our best. But, yeah, that's Liverpool versus West Ham. Any last thoughts on that one, Q?
I could still definitely see Salah. I think he's a decent pick, and I could see where he gets 2 goals, max bonus, and everyone is cheering. But yeah, I've seen this season with United, they beat Liverpool, they beat Arsenal, and then they get done 6-2 against Man City or 6-3 against Man City. So I think that's just one of those things where you're hoping for a good result, but I could see it sort of being a bit of a sticky fixture.
It's going to be interesting, isn't it? So, we'll see, mate. And I know you would have loved for Salah to have hauled all those weeks ago when I was captaining him, you were captaining him, and we're still, paying for those mistakes. But we'll go on to Newcastle Everton. We did have a questions coming from the goal difference, which we'll go through in the Q&A. Onto the Ball, Salah, he's on flames. Obviously, he scored in the Champions League quick hat-trick. I think it was the quickest ever Champions League hat-trick. And then he scored against Man City. He absolutely butchered Cancelo. Bora TV has just come in. Can you kindly explain why -4 is a -2 in a blank game week? Does -8 mean -4? All right, so basically what it means is if you're swapping, so if you're transferring out a player that doesn't play this game week, normally that means you'll be getting 0 points if you start him, right? So if you transfer someone in for a -4 for someone that doesn't play, the player that then plays for you should get a minimum of 2 points. So you're then only you're basically only losing 2 points, because if you kept it as 0, you wouldn't be losing any points or gaining any points. So it's effectively like a -2. That's kind of what's been going around in the FPL community. And look, if he ends up getting more than the 2 points, gets a goal and or assist, you're going to be up. So I hope that makes sense. I probably haven't explained it too well. Q, is there any way you can explain it better? But my way of saying is just basically, if you've got a player that isn't playing, you take a -4 to bring someone in that is playing. He's then getting 2 points instead of 0. So you just take the 2 away from the 4. So it's actually just a -2 if he gets a minimum of 2 points. If he gets more than 2 points, then, you're laughing and it pays itself back. So it's worth the gamble. It's worth the gamble.
It makes sense because whenever you do a transfer when they're not blinking, you kind of, wanting to make the 4 points up plus beat the player you're trading out, and the player you're trading out is getting 0. So 2 points, you're knocking that from, you only need another 2 points to, get back your -4, and you're beating the player because he's on 0. So yeah, definitely this week is probably the better option of doing the big minuses, like -8. I can see people doing it. I might end up doing a -8 eventually tonight. There's still plenty of time. Yeah. But yeah, I probably wouldn't overdo it and do more than a -8.
Same.
I'd maybe do a -4 if you can get away with that, but definitely -8. I still think, if you need to do it, you do it.
I'll do a -4 if it means you can get at least 10 players on the pitch, maybe 11. If you're going to go to a -8, I'd say do it to if you've got, say, 7 players and you want to get to 9 players, then I'd say do a -8. If it means you saving your free hit, then do it. And see how you go. Just a couple of other quick comments. Matt Cowlin, welcome to the stream. Evening, chaps. You have just missed the Liverpool West Ham stuff, so I'm not sure if you heard it, mate. But I've decided I think I will join the Mo Salah train at Bora TV because the player you replace will be playing, so that's a +2 automatically. So there you go. Thanks for the clarification from the goal difference. Also had this comment: 8 goals in the last 7 games for Salah. So it's a very good spin on it, and it's a good way of looking at it.
Mate, I'm the biggest Salah fan. If you've watched all season, I've held him for 10 weeks, and
Q's got Salah on the back of that Man United shirt.
Yeah, it's almost on the back of my shirt. That's what I think I had someone say, I thought you were a Man United supporter. I'm like, mate, I just believe in Salah all season, and had to get him. I finally got him out for Son last week to captain Son against Haaland, and didn't quite go to plan. And then now everyone's getting Salah back in, and I'm on the other side of it at the moment.
Oh no, it's always the way. It's always the way. We had another question come in from Shireen. I've said it a few times. We're going to do the Q&A at the end, so stay on the stream. We've got plenty of questions to bring up. If you're new here, if you can just give the video a like. Everyone that's watching, give the video a like. That would be absolutely awesome. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done. And also, if you hit the notification bell, you won't miss an upload. If it doesn't let you hit it, then you can unsubscribe and then subscribe again. And also give Quentin a follow. I'm just going to bring his handle up now. I've got it here somewhere. I'm going to bring it up on the screen. Here we go. Is this still your handle, Q? At FPL Amateurs Oz?
Yep, thanks to Damo. He got sick of reading all the underscores. So, that is my new handle.
So give Q a follow as well. He's FPL Amateur Oz. He's on Instagram. He's on Twitter. He's got a website, so check out his website. And he does all of his podcasts on Apple, on YouTube as well. He's doing a bit of YouTube too. So go and check all of it out. Let's go on to the next game: Newcastle versus Everton. I'll give my quick rundown on this one. Newcastle don't concede many goals. Everton don't score many goals. And Newcastle don't score many goals. So other than that Brentford game, which they won 5-1, and I guess the Fulham game, but at home they've had a few lower scoring games. So I'm going to say I'll go 1-1, even though Everton don't score many. I still think 1-1 because they should have scored against Spurs on the weekend in the first half. So I'll go 1-1. I do think the Newcastle clean sheet will get wiped out. And I will back maybe Callum Wilson for a goal this week and 1-1 in this one. Interesting game though. Lampard versus Eddie Howe. Couple of English managers, which is good to see. We'll pass on to you now, Q. And just before I do, we just had this comment from the goal difference, which is cool. We'll follow Quentin now. Great guest on the show. He is a great guest, but he wore a Man United shirt on the week that Man United play Spurs. But he is a great guest. And then onto the ball. Q, follow me at onto the ball too. Q will. If everyone gives Q a follow on Twitter, he'll follow everyone back. And what's your YouTube, Q, as well? Because I think you're just starting YouTube. What's your YouTube?
I think it's just my name at the moment. It's pretty basic. Quentin Dunn, I think it is. There's a couple of videos up there. I don't do a great deal on YouTube. It's usually a few or the watch-alongs. But all our podcasts are on Spotify, iTunes, I think Google Music, like everywhere pretty much. So definitely check it out. It's if you're like two fellas sort of like having a beer talking about FPL. And we do offer good advice 70% of the time, 30% of the time. There's a Kenny McLean pick in there, but
or Josh Brownhill.
Yeah, mate, Brownhill's a great pick, mate.
He was. A quick comment from Shireen. He's actually moving to Australia next month. Going to give Q a follow, mate. That's awesome. Let us know in the comments where you're moving to. I'm in Melbourne. I also go to Perth quite regularly as well, as I've got family there. Q is in New South Wales, but he's not in Sydney. He's in a very random
Hunter
town.
Valley.
What's it called, Q?
In Musselbrook, so it's in the Hunter Valley.
Hunter Valley, which I think is actually quite well known. No?
No. Well, depends who you're talking to. There's a few people that say I'd never heard of that place. But yeah, no, it's a good little country town near the wineries, and only about an hour from Newcastle. So yeah, good location.
There you go. So let us know in the comments where you're moving to, Shireen. Goal Difference said, ha ha ha, come on, you gunners. I think that's what that means. Oh no. Oh no, I've had to read that one out. Bora TV, thank you guys. I understood the concept. That's awesome. He's also asked us a question, so that's good. We're going to add that to the Q&A list. And Shireen's moving to Melbourne, so that's awesome, mate. Yeah, hit me up, mate. That's where I am. And we'll chat some FPL. I can get you on the podcast as well, as we'll be in a good time zone. So that would be awesome. Let's move on to Manchester United versus Spurs.
Hold on, I've got to give you my rundown.
Oh, sorry, Q's got to give me the Newcastle Everton. Sorry, I've rushed there. Go on, Q. What's your prediction?
Right, I'm the biggest closet Newcastle truther, and you just skipped me.
Yeah, you love it. I just don't want to hear about Trippier anymore.
I think people don't have Trippier. Definitely get him in this week. As we said, Everton don't score many goals. One player I'd like to talk about is Callum Wilson. So because of his injury history, he hasn't played consistent games against Everton, but his last 2 games he has 4 goals. So 4 goals in 2 games for Callum Wilson against Everton. And then also on the other side of it is you got Calvert-Lewin, who has 4 goals in his last 3 games against Newcastle. So whether he starts or not, I'm not sure. But he does have a good record against Newcastle. But I can see Newcastle winning this game. I think it's going to be 3-0. We're going to get the Trippier clean sheet. We're going to get a Callum Wilson goal. So pretty confident in Newcastle this week. I think they're going to win.
Good stuff. And yeah, it's actually some good points about Wilson with his goals against Everton. So we both think Callum Wilson is the pick. Really good assessment there from Q. And PSB's come in and said Wilson is a great captaincy shout if he starts.
Yeah, he is.
I think he'll be all right because Isaac's injured and St. Maximum's not back yet. So big stuff there from Q. He's on for a 3-0 prediction. All right, well, let's go into it. Man United Spurs, team I support against the team Q supports. The key thing in this is it's at Old Trafford, which I know it didn't happen on the weekend just gone, but when Man United play Spurs, the referees seem to have something in their head where they want to give Man United a dodgy penalty. So I'm going to predict my score now, and I predict Man United to score a penalty. And I'm going to go with the 2-2. I know Spurs games, obviously, people say they've been quite dull, quite low scoring, but although they're not all of them have. There's been some 4-1s and 2-2s and whatnot this season. But I think this will be a 2-2. Ronaldo to score for Man United. Harry Kane and Son to do it for Spurs. I'm going to pick Kane as my man to have. I still think he's a really strong option. He's got 4 goals in his last 4 games at Old Trafford with 2 assists. But I'm going to go 2-2. I can't see us winning the game. I'd like to think, other than maybe a dodgy decision from, Man United and Alex Ferguson in the crowd watching the game, that maybe this game will be 2-2. But that's my thoughts. I know Man United haven't been their best this season yet. But, it's still Old Trafford. It's still the fear factor of Old Trafford. It's a theatre of dreams. They beat Liverpool there. You did get the draw against Newcastle. You beat Arsenal 3-1. It's not an easy stadium to go to, and you've still got quality players. So it's going to be a real interesting game. That's my prediction. I don't want to say too much. I don't want to end up talking Spurs up too much in case we obviously lose. So I will go with 2-2. And just before I give it to Q, I'm just going to say Bora TV is just saying thank you to On The Ball, because On The Ball has just subbed to Bora TV. So everyone give Bora TV a sub. Everyone who's in this comments who's got YouTube channels, go and give each other a sub. It all helps out. It's absolutely awesome that everyone's supporting each other. PSB, Kane will score a penalty, mate. United's been 2-1. So he thinks Kane will get the pen. Fair call, but he's backing his boys, Man United. Onto the ball. Massive game, Man U versus Spurs. And he's gone Desmond 2-2. The old Desmond 2-2. And then Bora TV. Nice meeting many people by streams and Twitter. Matt is the only FPL streamer I watch. Mate, that's awesome. Thanks. That's great to hear. This is sort of my first. I've been doing FPL stuff for years. online, Instagram, some other stuff on YouTube and Twitter. But this is the first year I've kind of come out on my own doing it. Obviously, I've got Q as a guest this week. I've had Q as a guest on other weeks, and a few other different guests. So, it's great to have people like yourself that come back and continue to watch. So, that's great, mate. And I love having you here as well. Q, come on then. Let's hear your non-biased opinion, and try and see if you can do it without. Actually, no, you can mention Ronaldo because I know you love Ronaldo, and I'm sure you're going to back him.
I hate making predictions on my own side because it only leaves me disappointment, as we've seen over the last few seasons when I've made predictions. But I think this is going to have goals in it. I don't think there's going to be clean sheets. I think defensive assets are pretty much going to be useless this week in this game. I think it's going to be 3-2 to Man United. I just touched on Ronaldo quickly. So he has 4 goals, 1 assist in his last 2 games against Spurs. And obviously because he didn't play in the league before last season, so he hasn't played Spurs for a while. I'm kind of hoping
last
that...
season, and he scored, was it 2?
He scored a hat-trick last season, and then he got a goal and assist in the return.
In the first game. So I captained him in that first one, I remember that. And then the second one, he got the hat-trick. And he was unbelievable that night. So...
it's I'm kind of hoping that he doesn't start because I have Rashford, and Rashford was rested on the weekend and then come on for the last 20 minutes. So I'm actually backing Rashford this week. I think he's going to have a good day out. I can see him getting a goal. He should have probably had 2 goals on the weekend when he came off the bench there. But if Ronaldo does start and Rashford does snag a position out wide, I still think both of those have opportunities to score. But I think Son's going to be the pick this week. A lot of people are going to have Kane, which is understandable because he does have a good history against United. But I think Son, I think I was speaking to you. I think he's got, 4 goals? Hold on. I'll just check out my notes here. So Son, 3 goals, 2 assists in his last 4 games against United. So
okay, he's got the numbers.
Yeah, so I'm backing Son this week, and I do have the captaincy, as PSB's alluded to in the comments. At the moment, it's on Son. I did entertain the idea of Wilson, but it's one of those things they say, if you've got the premium assets, usually they should be your first captain option. You don't sort of have those premium assets in your side and then not captain them. So, I think there's a bit of upside here. I don't see us keeping a clean sheet. I can see us conceding goals because I still don't think we're great defensively. And then we've got a team like Spurs who I think could, bang a few goals in. So, I think Kane, Son, owners are going to be happy this week, and I think people that have kept Rashford and people that have taken the punt on Ronaldo, if he does start, might be cheering as well. But 3-2 win to us, mate.
And Son's your pick?
Yeah.
Son's your pick. Well, big stuff from Q. As he alluded to, he's potentially captain Son. PSB says that's unacceptable, mate. You know what? That's a good point, PSB. I tell you what, I did captain against Spurs once, and it was just when towards the end of Mourinho's time and we were losing games, and Gundogan was on absolute fire for Man City. This was in the lockdown season. Gundogan come out, and I think he got 18 points at the Etihad or 16 points. It was a ridiculous score. I captained him. And look, it was horrible watching Spurs lose a game. It was like 4-1, but I got a ton of points from Gundogan. And then it was in a double game week. He actually took a knock in that game and then missed the second game, but I got a huge score. So, Q could come out of it potentially with a United defeat, but then Son with a hat-trick. He's feeling good in the FPL world. So we'll see. One thing I will quickly say just before I bring up the other comments is Richarlison's actually got a knock. Kulusevski's not fit. Lucas Moura is coming back into the squad. I think Spurs might go a 3-5-2. And we've looked a lot better in a 3-5-2. And that actually has given Son and Kane more attacking freedom when we've reverted to that. Because what's happened is Kane has been able to collect the ball like he can do that bit deeper. Because what's been happening this year in the 4-3-3 is Kane's actually been in the box more and getting a lot more chances in the box. Whereas towards the end of the last season, we played Kulusevski would sort of hover out wide, but then we'd have Son and Kane. Kane kind of direct through the middle, and Kane would drop deep. And like with the 3-5-2, I think we're going to see Kane slightly behind Son, and he's going to play a lot of balls ahead of Son and through to Son, and it could cause some real problems for United. So I actually don't think the Son pick is that bad. And really, from a midfielder, you only need a goal and you normally get some bonus. And that could be enough in this game week, because obviously it is technically a blank game week without Man City and Arsenal, because Man City and Arsenal is like 4, 5 or 6 players of most of our teams. So it's going to be a really interesting one. So Q's going to go 3-2 United. I've gone 2-2. I've picked Kane. He's picked Son. PSB has just noted hat-trick for Ronaldo at Old Trafford last season. The goal difference has also come in and said United were dreadful against Newcastle. Spurs to win, coming from an Arsenal fan. Well, big pick from an Arsenal fan. He's confident that Spurs will win it. Doesn't think too much of United in the game against Newcastle. And then
They
Football
probably
Ferreira.
should have won that game, maybe 3 goals. I think that whole second half was just all of Man United. I thought the same when I saw the nil or draw, because I didn't get to watch it live. But when I watched it back this morning, I was like, oh, geez, we probably should have won that game. I felt like Newcastle got away with one there, but, that's football.
Well, there you go. Q's assessment there. Football Ferreira, United will beat Spurs. I know Football Ferreira is not a fan of Spurs at all, but it's brilliant, and I love it when he does those comments. I love his comments. He calls them small no trophy Spurs. And then we've got PSB. Conte also mentioned he might try Perisic in a front three along with Son and Kane in 3-4-3. I did see him say that, and you know what? That would be really interesting, because Perisic can play either side, left, right. He can cut in on either side, because he's both footed. Naturally right, but he does like to shoot on his left. I think there's a thing where he's naturally right footed but takes corners on his left or either side. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. He's a good player. Starting to get a lot fitter again now, sort of seeing the Perisic that we kind of all knew at Inter Milan. So yeah, that's actually a really good point, PSB. That's good for Matt Doherty owners, because then it means Doherty's probably going to play right side, isn't he, Q? And then Sessegnon will then go onto the left side. So some bargains to be had in that Spurs defence. But that's enough of Man United v Spurs. I'm sure me and Q will be ignoring each other after that game when it's done.
I'll be in your DMs, mate. I'll be in your DMs.
Yeah, he'll be in my DMs, but he'll be buzzing either way, because it's either United win or Spurs win, and Son ends up coming out with a hat full of goals. So we'll see how that one goes. Look, we've just got a hi that's come in here. I apologise, I cannot speak or understand reading I think the Arabic language, so I apologise, mate. So I can't pronounce your name. If anyone in the comments can pronounce the name or advise the name in English, that would be awesome. Anyway, mate, welcome to the stream. Great to have you here. And if you can give the video a like and the channel subscribe, and give Q a follow as well on Twitter, FPL Amateurs Oz. Let's do the next 2 games before we can do our differentials, captains, quickly talk about our transfers, and then we can finally do the Q&A, which everyone's waiting for. Fulham Villa could potentially be Gerrard's last game in charge of Aston Villa if they lose this game. Personally, I think managers should get more time. When you're at a club like Aston Villa, what do you really expect right now? Like, you're not going to be getting Europe. Just see how it goes. I don't think you're going to go down. Don't necessarily think you're going to be in the European positions. Just see how it goes. I know it's not looking great, but it took him a few years at Rangers. I know it's the SPL, but he did eventually win the league and didn't lose a game. And then look at Arteta at Arsenal as well. So anyway, that's for a different stream. This is FPL, Fulham Villa. I'm going to back a draw, because prior to their loss against Chelsea, Villa drew 3 games in a row. 1-1. Danny Ings is my pick. Missed a great chance on the week against Chelsea. Has looked sharp nearly every game I've seen him when he does play and he is fit. So I want to back him to score, and I'm going to back him as the player. 1-1, maybe a Mitrovic goal from Fulham. I want Danny Ings and 1-1. Q?
Yeah, no, I'm the same. I think it's going to be 1-1. I don't think this is going to be a very good game to watch. I could see it being very just dour. I just don't think that there's going to be a lot of action. I think there's going to be a lot of half chances, but none that are going to not a lot of chances to make people think, oh, this is a great game to watch. So yeah, 1-1, and I think Danny Ings, I love that shout. He looked good on the weekend. He does look good when he is fit and playing, and I think Leon Bailey could be a little sneaky punt this week as well.
He's going back on the Bailey train, the early season enabler of Leon Bailey. So Q agrees it may not be the best game, but he's going Bailey. I'm going Ings as well. Big game for Villa and Steven Gerrard. So let's go on. Obviously, you can see just at the bottom there, Man City Arsenal is not on. So before we do our final game, which is Leicester Leeds, Man City versus Arsenal was not on. So it's technically a blank game week because there's a game missing. There's train strikes. This game was actually Arsenal versus Man City, I think. Was it, Q? Was it? It was supposed to be at the Emirates. But there's obviously train strikes. So Man City fans can't get down from Manchester to London. And, Arsenal fans are pretty global or across England anyway, so they can't get to London and, various parts of London to the Emirates. So game's off. Lots of mud all over FPL because of this. Lots of -8s, -4s, -20s, whatever you're doing. Free hits are getting used. It's going to be absolute chaos. But what that means is there's no Haaland permacap, which means we can all captain someone different this week. And you're either going to be someone who's been in the caves and the trenches like me and Q have, and then you can rise up the ranks, or you're just going to pick an absolute ridiculous captain and end up getting a horrible red arrow. So, big game week. Let's do Leicester Leeds. Last game, Leeds were very unlucky not to do anything and get the result against Arsenal. They missed a pen, dominated the game, the second half anyway, from what I saw. I can't speak on the first. I didn't see the first half. Leicester, really poor game against Palace, but they did keep a clean sheet. This is it then. Yeah, PSB. Aren't Arsenal playing the Europa game and thus the game's off? I might be wrong. Maybe that's what it was then, PSB. I think initially there was rail strikes, right? That called off the Europa game, or the Queen's death maybe called off the Europa game. And then, that's it. They decided to play Arsenal PSV in this game week. That is correct. I've just checked. Yeah, he is right. That is right. He's jogged my memory. So it's good to have PSB in the stream, because if you ever make a small error, he's always on it and he knows his stuff. He's right. That's actually exactly what it is. So, Arsenal got the Europa game. That's another good point, right? Because with Arsenal playing PSV, a lot of people are saying, Arsenal are going to be fresh for the game against Saints on the weekend. Look, Arsenal might not even play their best team in this game. They might rest a lot of players, but they might pick up a couple of injuries, and you just never know. So Arsenal are still technically playing, so that is something to consider. Because you could end up thinking, I don't want to transfer Martinelli out. He doesn't. I want to play him against Southampton on the weekend. Then he could play against PSV, pick up an injury, and then you're sitting there now thinking, God, if only I just transferred him out now. But great point from PSB. Arsenal are playing in the Europa League. Yes, the Europa League, not the Champions League. But let's go on to the Leicester versus Leeds game. As I said, the Leeds game looked like they deserved to get something from the Arsenal game. Leicester were a really poor game against Palace, but I thought James Maddison was unlucky not to score, but he's not playing in this game because he got a booking with 3 seconds to go, which is an absolute joke because he was in my team. He was in Q's. I think he was in your team, Q.
Yeah.
And now he's banned from that yellow card. So now we've all had to take Maddison out. So I'm going to back another draw on this one. I'm going to go 1-1. I'm going to go 1-1, and I'm going to back. You know what? I had a mate of mine inbox me earlier and say he thinks Jamie Vardy's going to start in this one. So I'm going to back Jamie Vardy. You know what? He looked good when he came off the bench the other day. He looked sharp, and I think he'll start. I think he'll bag a goal. So I'm going to go 1-1 and Jamie Vardy. What are you thinking on this one, Q?
I'm backing a draw as well. I'm going 2-2, and I think Harvey Barnes is going to be a pick this week. I could see him getting an assist, even a goal. So, definitely think that he holds a bit of value this week, especially with Maddison out. They're going to need creativity from somewhere else. So, I think it's going to be Harvey Barnes this week.
That's a good point about Barnes. Obviously, we're going to go through my differentials and your differentials shortly. He may or may not be on there, Harvey Barnes, but good pick, because without Maddison, a lot of the play is going to run through Barnes, and he did actually look quite good against Palace, and he was getting a lot of balls in the box, and he was appearing at the back post. So actually a really good pick there, Q. So look, that's our fixtures all done. We've picked our players from each game. Thanks to Quentin for providing those fixtures, really nicely put together. We love it. So thanks for that, mate. All right, let's go on to the next part. We're going to do. I'm going to do the captains. So I'm going to go top 3 captain picks. These are my 3, Q, and then tell me what your 3 are. Mine is Kane as number 1. I think the fact that he's returned in every game this season other than one is he's a pretty safe bet to captain. So Kane's number 1. Mo Salah is number 2 because I think his record against West Ham and his recent form in the last 2 matches for Liverpool puts him as a captain option for me. And it's still Salah, and he's still a premium asset. And number 3 is Trossard because of the fixture and because he has returned in a few games this season with a couple of double-digit scores. So that's my 3 main captains. And then my curveball is Q's man, who he loves in FPL. I'm surprised he's not in Q's team. He was, but he's not now. Mason Mount in the Brentford game. 2 double-digit scores back-to-back. So Mason Mount is my curveball captain. Q, what are your 3 captains? And who's your curveball captain?
I'm looking at Son. Obviously, I've got the captaincy on this week, but I do think that this is going to be a week where Kane will still probably get a return, but I'm backing Son this week. I think he could have a good game against United. Unfortunately for us, I think he could score. My other option is I think Callum Wilson, I think is a good pick this week. He has the history against Everton. Everton, for me, their defense has been a little bit overrated. From what the stats are saying, I've been watching games and they're still conceding lots of chances. And we've seen Callum Wilson in the past doesn't need a lot of chances and he'll score. So I could see him as a good captaincy pick. And I think Solanke is a nice little pick as well. I think there's going to be goals in that game. And I would like to say Billing over Solanke, but I think Solanke could be the person getting the goals and Billing could be the one getting the assists. So, yeah, I'm backing Solanke this week. I think he's a good pick.
Because also Q's gone for a top 3 of Son in number 1. Number 2, Callum Wilson. Number 3, the GOAT, Dom Solanke. He's now officially the GOAT, is what we're now going to call him from here on. I think it was PSB that might have started that on this podcast. So that's our top 3. And curveball, Q, who's your curveball then?
Trippier. I think
Trippier.
I think they're going to keep a clean sheet, and I could see a cross from Trippier straight to Callum Wilson's head and going straight in the net, and then him getting 2 bonus behind 3 bonus for Callum Wilson.
Love it, Q. Love it, Q. And yeah, look, I hope for your sake that your number 1 captain Son does do well and brings Spurs a win. And I hope that fires you up the ranks if he's your captain. So I'm not going to say no to that. Get your 3 captains in the comments. Let us know what they are. Let us know your curveball. PSBs, let us know who his are. 1 Salah. And PSB actually does some really good captain threads on Twitter. So check him out, PSB. Does some really good stuff with all sorts of stats on there as well. PSB had one of the top captain points across the whole season in FPL last year. I think he was like top 50 or something crazy like that. So yeah, definitely worth having a listen there. So he's gone Salah 1, Kane 2, Callum Wilson 3. That's one of your picks, Q. And then his top curveball captain, he's gone with Darwin Núñez from Liverpool. Darwin the Crocodile Hunter. So yeah, the big croc. That's a great pick there. Yeah, love that PSB. But yeah, if you're in the comments, get your 3 picks in now on your curveball. It'll be great to see what everyone else is thinking. My captain, Salah. I've decided it. I've got a -4. Salah's my captain. I've rang Mark Gahey in for Kilman, and I've brought in Salah for Maddison, who is banned. Look, if Maddison didn't get banned, I wouldn't have probably. Actually, still probably would have I would have brought Salah probably in for Foden and just done the 1 transfer. I probably would have been able to just do the 1 transfer, but look, what's done is done. Q, your captain Son, and who's your transfers this week?
So at the moment, my transfers, I think I brought in Edouard for Jesus because I'm going to move across to Saka as sort of my Arsenal player next week. But yeah, at the moment, I'm just doing the 1 transfer, but I have looked at maybe doing James down to Mark Gahey and then also going Maddison to Salah this week. But yeah, I'm not a fan of the -8 this week, but
yeah, if you don't need it, I think it's too far. If you don't need the -8, if you can get 10 players on, you don't need the -8. But
yeah, I'm in a tricky position because I've got Zamora, which I bought in 2 weeks ago as a downgrade from Trent. to use for week 12, but he's been benched the last 2 weeks and been getting 10 minutes off the bench. So I'm kind of hoping that he does start just the midweek fixture. They might do a bit of rotation and put him back on because he does have great attacking upside. But, if he doesn't play, I'm going to be stuck with 9 players this week. So
well, that's another point there from Q is there will probably be rotation this week. Like we might always sit in there. Let's take -16. Let's take -8. Let's take -12 to bring players in that might start on the bench because squads are thin. The World Cup's coming up. Champions League's next week for teams in the Champions League, in the Europa. The Carabao Cup will be on before the World Cup as well. So yeah, it's a good point from Q. There is going to be some rotation. So keep that in mind. Before we go on to the Q&A, we're getting closer and closer to the Q&A, so don't worry, it is happening. My player pick for the round's Harry Kane. I think I mentioned he scored in all game weeks this season other than one, which was on the opening day. He's got 4 goals. Yeah, since the one that Q owned him for. And hasn't owned him in any others. He's got 4 goals in his last 4 appearances at Old Trafford with a couple of assists in there too. He has got a double-digit score at Old Trafford before as well. So that's my player pick. I think he's the one that if you need a striker and you can afford him, get him in. If you've got him in, don't lose him. Q, who is your player pick for the round?
Callum Wilson. I think
Callum Wilson. That's a great pick.
Yeah. The history says that he should have a good opportunity to score goals against Everton, so I could see him scoring this week. And I think people are looking for a downgrade from Jesus, just because he's blanking this week. I love a Wilson shout.
No, good stuff. All right, I'm going to get on some differentials now. This is going to be quick because we want to get this Q&A done. So Mount 7.8%, 2 back-to-back doubles in the last 2 games. We've got the one against the double-digit score against Wolves. And the double-digit score on the weekend against Aston Villa. He's got Brentford away, the Chelsea midfielder. And then Mark Gay. By the way, these numbers have probably changed because I did these differential stats last night when I posted a Twitter thread. So they've probably ballooned. Normally the differentials they're anyone below 10%. So hopefully these are all still below 10% owned. Mark Gahey, 3%, 8 points in his last game week with 2 bonus. He's got Wolves at home this week. Wolves haven't scored away from home all season. Please don't be the week that they score unless it's Kilman because he's in my team. So he's another differential. Harvey Barnes, 1.6% owned. Sideways move from Maddison, but he was getting on the ball a lot against Palace. Probably going to get on the ball even more in this Leeds game. 1.6% owned. So it could be someone to look at on a free hit. Also, if you don't have much money in that midfield, you can just sideways move from Maddison to Barnes. And then Roberto Firmino, 7.5%. I think Liverpool are going to play him, Darwin, and Salah as a 3. It's just my guess. Firmino is just popping up with some massive scores this season. And if he doesn't get a big score in this one, I think he'll definitely get it in the Forest one on the weekend. He just has this tendency to get big scores against newly promoted clubs. Like he did last year against Watford. I know he's got West Ham in this one, but I just think at 7.5%, he's the 4th top highest scoring forward this season. I just think he's a really good pick as a differential to get some Liverpool coverage. Q, we'll just go on to your differentials. I'm just going to quickly bring up a comment from FPL Mike Kaplan. Good evening in his very own Unai Emery accent. Welcome to the stream, mate. It's good to have you on. One of my favourite Arsenal fans, which I don't obviously say too much, but yeah, he's a legend.
He's a great player.
And he is. He's a great bloke, isn't he? And then just Shireen, I did 1 transfer, KDB for Salah so far. I still have 1 blank player. Not sure if I'm taking a -4. Well, look, if you do it and you've got a blank player, like we said earlier, it's kind of like a -2. But then at the same time, do you want to lose an Arsenal or a Man City asset when you can just wait a few more days and they play again? Like, probably not, because obviously Arsenal are on fire and Man City, are the champions, and they're obviously a quality side. PSV's just backing up what Quentin said. Rotation might be brutal. The last time Newcastle played a midweek game, Howard changed almost his entire back 4, which is crazy because they're not even in Europe. But yeah, he obviously wants to keep players fresh. And they do play Spurs in game week 13. So Howe might be looking at it thinking, let's try and go there and win. Spurs have won, I think, 10 in a row at home. So he might want to go there and pull off a victory. But Q&A is coming. in a couple of minutes. But first, Quentin is going to give us some differentials. So let's go.
I'll be short and sweet because I've spoken about all three of these players already. So I got Callum Wilson as a pick this week, 3.3% owned. I've said the reasons before. I think he's going to score this week. I think he's a great pick, especially for downgrade options. Second pick is Eze from Crystal Palace. I backed him the last 4 weeks. I think he's a great pick. He is dropping into those positions that Gallagher was in last year, which we saw how important that is in attack for them. And I think he's going to be involved in the goals, whether it's an assist or a goal himself. But I think he's a great pick. He's only 3.1% owned. And Billing, who I've got in my side also, so this is not biased. I just think Billing at 1.9%.
Is he still only 1.9%?
Yeah, he's 1.9% and 5.3. So for his price and for his ownership levels in a fixture like this where I could see goals, I think he's a great pick this week.
Yeah, good stuff. I love those picks, Q. And yeah, on Billing, I think we were saying earlier, Bournemouth are on form under Gary O'Neill. And this Southampton game, they're not playing very well, Southampton. And you can kind of almost look at it. I know I said this earlier. You can kind of almost look at it as like a championship game in a way. Like Bournemouth are good in these types of fixtures, like we saw against Fulham, like we saw against Nottingham Forest. And Billing got, I think, 20 goals and 10 assists in the championship. And he's starting to show that form now in the Premier League. So really good pick at 1.9% there. I think Q has picked a very good player there. I know he's in his side. He's in both of my draft sides. I play in 2 draft leagues. So I'd love a Billing return. But look, that is that's the preview. That's differentials. That's the captains. Now it's time, finally, for the Q&A. I know everyone's been patiently waiting in the stream for the Q&A. If you have just joined the stream, please give the video a like. Please give the channel a subscribe and get the notifications on if you haven't done. Give Quentin a follow at FPL Amateur of Oz on Twitter and Instagram and his website. I'm at FPL Matt Day on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. Obviously here on YouTube, you can find it everywhere. We're going to bring up the Q&A. Just a quick cheeky one here. Havizan Fadzil, Solanke captain. Yeah, that's one of obviously Q's shouts. That is a big captain. The GOAT is what we call him on this channel. So Solanke is the GOAT. All right, so here's a couple of questions that I had on my Instagram. Shireen Mir Khan, he's actually in the chat tonight, which is awesome, and he's moving to Melbourne too. He said, do I free hit? I have 3 City players and 2 Arsenal players, or should I do 1 free transfer? I'll do 1 free transfer, mate. You are better off playing with 9 or 10 men and doing 1 free transfer or a -4 and keeping your City and Arsenal players for this run of games than free hitting when you can use it at the end of the season. It's different if you've got 4 or 5 players on the park. Free hit, you're going to really, really gain. But if you can already get 9 or 10 players on for the sake of 1 transfer or a -4, my opinion, I would keep it, especially if you've got a solid captain option as well. Q, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm similar, but it just depends on what players you have left. So if you had real bad players left, I probably would activate the free hit just because you could get a good advantage where you can pick literally any player this week. And there are teams with good fixtures. You could double up on Liverpool. You could triple up on Liverpool if you wanted to, hoping on goals and stuff. So I think there is an upside for the free hit. But as Matt said, if you don't mind your side that you have and you just make 1 or 2 transfers and you keep that free hit, that's also a good option as well.
Well, there you go. A couple of similar but differing opinions from myself and Q. So I hope that helps you out, Shireen. Question from Jacob Turner. He sent me one in on Instagram. He asked, who do you think will get the most points in game week 12? That's a brilliant question. And that's a tough question because I don't think anyone would have predicted Mason Mount in game week 11, and they wouldn't have predicted Jose Sarr and Alisson. Sorry, Shireen. I just want to quickly bring this up. It's a she. I'm sorry. I apologize. I'll see you when you come to Melbourne. And yeah, even better, it's great to have the some female support in FPL. My missus loves her FPL as well. So great to have you here. And apologies for my mistake. I shouldn't have assumed that only that it was just males on the channel. PSB with Balls of Steel, Hafizan. And then we've had a question from Lana Lewis, which I'm going to bring up because we are doing Q&A. All right, so who's going to score the most points in game week 12? I'm going to say I'll just go Salah because I've captained him. You know what? I'm going to go Salah. I think I know who Q's going to say. A Newcastle.
You know what? I think it's going to be someone who's going to be under 1.5% owned. I think it could be one of those weeks where there's a player no one has, and then you look on the FPL app the next day and someone's triple captain him and own him. So I really don't know who's going to top score this week. It's a hard week to pick. I'm going to go with Wilson just because he's in my side. I can see him getting 2 goals, max bonus, and top scoring. But yeah, I think it could be just one of those left field picks this week.
Actually, I'm changing it. It's going to be this man, Solanke. The GOAT is going to be the top scorer for the game week. So there you go. That's a great question, Jacob. So thanks for that. All right, now I'm going to start bringing up the comments that we've had and all the questions. So if you're watching now, get your questions in now because this is the Q&A from myself at FPL Matt Day and Quentin at FPL Amateurs Boz. We're finally going to do the Q&A. So here we go. The first question that come in from Munir. Zaha or Mount for Maddison? I'm going to say or Mason Mount because I know Zaha's on pens as well. But Chelsea are a stronger team. Mount showed he can take a free kick on the weekend. He's also on corners. And I actually really think he's Chelsea's most productive attacking player right now. And I think if you get him in, I think the Man United home game is good for Chelsea at the Bridge. Good record against United at home. So yeah, I'm going to go with Mason Mount. I can't believe how much love I'm giving Mount. I always say Mason Mount in FPL is a player that you've got to get him while he's hot for like 2 or 3 games. Loves his hauls against, those kind of bottom half teams. And then I've never been a big fan of him. But right now, he's the man to have. So I'm going to go Mount. Q?
Yeah, I'm going to try to put some of my PTSD aside from owning Mason Mount for 3/4 of this season. I actually think Zaha's the better pick. I like the Crystal Palace fixtures. I think there's a better amount of fixtures because I don't probably want to own a Mason Mount for another maybe 4 or 5 weeks when they start their good run with Bournemouth because they do have Newcastle. I think they got United. They've got Arsenal. So, yeah, I think there's a few tough fixtures coming up for them. So, yeah, I'm not going to own, but, both good picks.
Good stuff from Q. All right. And then Jermaine Edwards. Hi, guys. Would you free hit if you have 6 City and Arsenal and Maddison also have a weak bench?
Yeah, I would.
Q would. Well, Q's come out and said straight away that he would because that's 7 players missing. Then you obviously do the 3 subs that you can bring on. So that's 4 that you then need to replace. That's so tough. Maddison screwed you over there with that 3 seconds ago. I know he did it to a lot of our teams, mine as well, but obviously for someone like yourself. So Q's saying yes. So you're saying yes to the free hit, Q?
Yeah, no, as I said earlier, I think that if you don't have a great side outside of the players that are obviously blinking this week, you will probably want to maximize this week and get in a few players that, are going to have decent fixtures. And I think a free hit lets you keep Maddison because Maddison's back next week. Your Arsenal City players are back next week. So I like the free hit in this circumstance.
You know what? I'm going to say if your formation allows it, do a -4, which obviously the squad's 15. You put 11 on the park. But if I've got it right, you could at the moment only have 7 players in your starting lineup. Including your weak subs. Obviously, I don't know what your bench is, but I'm assuming it's like Nico Williams, maybe Andreas Pereira. You can start Williams, you can start Pereira. I'd say go a -4 or a -8 to get between 9 to 10 players on the field and just go through the pain. I've gone through the pain of Haaland scoring 3 hat-tricks and I didn't have him in my team for 2 of them and I didn't captain for the 3rd one. So if I can go through that pain, you can go through the pain of just having 1 horrible red arrow to then have your free hit for that second half of the season. That's what I would do. Q thinks you should free hit. So there you go. You got 2 different opinions. Good luck with your decision. Let's go through some more questions that we had. Where we go. All right. And keep them coming in as well. Just as I'm scrolling through to bring up the questions, keep the questions coming in the comments. The goal difference. Should I captain Salah or Zaha? Salah for me. Home at Anfield. West Ham aren't going to like that trip to Liverpool on a midweek. Zuma's out. Dawson's out. Salah wants, he's hungry. He wants to turn his 3 goals that he scored in the league this season to 6 goals with a hat-trick in this game. So I'm going to go Salah. Q?
Yeah, no, Salah as well. I think you go for the rule if you got the premium asset. I think that they trump with the fixture as well. West Ham, it might be a little bit tricky, but still I can see Salah scoring. So Salah for me.
And onto the ball said Salah. He's on flames. So yeah, I agree. Salah is the one. Shireen, she has asked us who would be a good Saliba replacement. I'd keep Saliba, to be honest. I'd keep him. I wouldn't even be selling him. I'd just put him on the bench. I'd even play with 10 men or 9 men if it meant keeping Saliba. I think he's too good to sell with Arsenal's fixtures and with his returns. If you really want to get rid of him, I'm liking Mark Gahey. I'm liking his fixture against Wolves. I'm liking his runner games. I'm liking his bonus point potential. I'm liking his attacking set piece threat potential. So that's probably what I'd pick. Q is... or if you can get... No, you're not going to be able to get to Trent or Robertson from there because... so yeah, I'd say Mark Gahey, but if you can keep thoughts, Q, who are you thinking?
Yeah, I would probably keep him. I was going to say Dallo, but with the fixture against Spurs this week, I probably wouldn't go Dallo. But yeah, I think just keep Saliba. I was sort of in that same boat on who to get rid of for James this week, and there's not really a great deal of options out there. And the only options I could think of was getting him out for Saliba or Gabriel or White, and none of them play this week. So yeah, I'd probably hold him.
Oh, good stuff from Q. All right, Bora TV. I have James. I need the best possible replacement to a game week 16. Who would you be your top 2 pick? All right, I'll go with one of my picks, and then Q can do the second one. So we'll give it as a team. I'm going to go Gahey is my favorite pick. If you haven't got him already, so I think he's my top one. Q.
I think Dallo. Their fixtures.
Good point.
Decent. Yeah, outside of the Chelsea fixtures, they've got green fixtures all the way to 19. So yeah, I'd definitely go Dallo, in my opinion.
That's a really good shout, actually. Yeah, good shout for Dallo. Is it 2 games this season, Q, that Dallo has managed to get bonus points?
Yep.
All 3.
And I think he's had 3 attacking returns, I think, this season as well.
Yeah, Dallo is a good option. I know he was obviously all the rave at the start of the season because of his price. But yeah, when there's even been, I think there was a game United didn't keep a clean sheet and he still was able to get 3 bonus. He's obviously had the attacking returns Q mentioned. So we're going to say Mark Gahey and Dallo. You're going to save money and you can use that money elsewhere as well. All right, I'm just scrolling down. We've got some more questions that come in. Great question that was from Bora TV. I'm just scrolling down into the comments to see what we had. Here we go. Lana Lewis. I originally read that as Leona Lewis for those that know the singer.
Man, I love Leona Lewis.
Yeah, Bleeding Love and some other really good songs.
I'm a sucker.
Lana Lewis is a cool name anyway. All right, Nunes or Zaha captain. I'd go Zaha because I think Nunes is going to start. And I think if he starts, he's a good pick. But I think Zaha, for me, if I had to pick between those two, because I think he definitely starts. And PSB made a good comment that he could end up dropping into a striker's position in this game. So I'd say Zaha. Q?
Yeah, no, Zaha. I think Zaha is less wasteful, even though I've seen weeks where he has missed a few chances. But I think Zaha, compared to Nunes might need 8 chances to score 1 goal, whereas Zaha could be in the box for 2 chances and score 2 goals. So,
and take
Zaha for me.
Good stuff. All right. Question that's come in from Sejin S. Captain. Well, my captain's Salah. And then the 3 captains that I chose as the top 3 were Haaland, sorry, he's not even playing. That's how annoying that guy is because he's perma-captain. He's in my head for this. First captain was Harry Kane. Second captain was Salah. Third captain was Trossard. But then we did decide that we wanted to add Solanke in there because he's the GOAT. So I think it's going to be a mix of those But my captain's Salah, but they're all great options. Curveball, Mason Mount. Q, yours is Wilson.
Mine was my captain this week's probably going to be Son, but yeah, Callum Wilson. I think I had Trippier as a bit of a curveball captain. I think Solanke, definitely good options this week.
Good stuff. And a comment, it looks like that's from Twitch, from X Ollie HDX. Which Palace defender will most likely score? That's a good point. Anderson seems to be a big threat from the Palace defenders when it comes to attacking set pieces. He's got that bit of height. He has scored from set plays before with Palace. So I'm going to say Anderson. I've got Gahey in my team. I really like him because of his price right now. I know he's rose to 4.4. I just managed to get him at 4.3 just before that, but I think Anderson's actually their best goal threat. Q, anyone else?
I think Tyreek Mitchell, if he does play.
Yeah. Is he injured?
I'd have to double check. I still haven't really focused too much on their defensive assets, but if he's not playing, I think Anderson definitely off the set pieces. But if Tyreek Mitchell is playing, he does offer great service to Zaha up top.
Good stuff. All right, PSB come in and said, I think Mount 2, but you got to take it on the chin if Potter rests him the odd game. Yeah, I think that's a fair call. We will see rotation in this game week. That is just the way it goes. Hafizan Fadzil, how about Firmino? Yeah, he's a really good pick. He was actually on the differential list. So when I put him down as a differential, he was 7.5% owned. For me, with Firmino, I think this is a good fixture for him. But I actually think the Forest one on the weekend is the one because he's got a knack of getting double-digit scores against newly promoted teams. He did it to Watford this season. Last season. He did it to Watford. I think it was the 2018-19 season or 17-18 season. And he absolutely smashed him then as well. And he's just got this knack of doing it. And I think, Firmino is a great shout right now. Are you liking Firmino, Q?
Yeah, I'll make a little bold statement here. I have a feeling that Nunez might not start. They're going to do Carvalho out wide, Salah and Firmino up top, which I would prefer them to have Nunez. But yeah, I think Firmino is a good pick. I think I could see him starting this week. Definitely.
Yeah, he's looking good. We had a comment from Matt Cowling. Gomez is a cheap centre-back pick, guaranteed, I would say, for the next batch of games. That's some really good insight because we did have James Gadsden on the pod. So I did a FPL reaction video last night on here, and James Gadsden come on and said, is Gomez a good pick for this game week? I told him to tune into this podcast, so if you're tuning in, you can get Gomez in because I think Kanate and Matip have some pretty big injuries. Have you been thinking about maybe getting Joe Gomez in, Q?
Yeah, I might be forced to if I'm wanting to get a defensive asset from Liverpool, as I have got Trent out and I've sort of used those funds further up top. So yeah, definitely think Gomez, if he is starting centre back role, if you want to get just a bite of that Liverpool defense, he's a great option.
I think he is, especially with Liverpool's fixtures to the World Cup. And the reality is, after the World Cup, you get unlimited transfers, so you can then bring the likes of Trent, Robertson back into your teams. Obviously, we'll know by then if Liverpool have turned their season around a bit more, won some more games. Everything is going to change after that World Cup break. It's almost like resetting the season again. We had a laughing face from Lana, who obviously laughed at the Leona Lewis stuff. And then a couple more comments. If you are still on the stream, you've got questions, get them in. If you are new and you've liked what you've seen, give the video a like and give the channel a subscribe and give myself a follow at FPL Matt Day. Give Quentin at FPL Amateurs of Oz a follow as well on Twitter and Instagram, and check out his website at FPL Amateurs of Oz. Shireen, she's just said, I don't think Klopp is going to start Nunez after a Salah performance without him. Yeah, I think that's a good point. And I think we saw how good Salah looked when he went a bit more central. So, I think exactly what you just said, Q, wasn't it? So, both of you are obviously thinking the similar sort of thing. PSB has come in and he said, Maddison to Trossard in 12 and Trossard to Foden in 13, or go directly Foden in the blank game week 12 and bench him. I would have 10 players playing without a hit if I go Foden. Oh, that's huge. That is huge. You know what? I reckon do it. I reckon play it, mate, because wouldn't you rather go through a game week knowing you've got players playing, knowing games are on, and look, Trossard has got a good chance of returning in that game. We've seen it this season how good he can be. But even if he doesn't, at least you can, know that game's on and know there's actually a chance of you having a goal or an assist, or even a bonus point from a player. Whereas if you don't have it, then you're not going to get anything. I know there's a hit involved, but it'll get paid back with an assist or a goal. So, like, I personally think just do it. Like, games for fun at the end of the day. We'd all absolutely love to win FPL, but it's a difficult game to win. So you might as well just have fun with it at the same time. So I personally, the only thing I will say, actually, next it's Maddison to Trossard. Yeah, I'd do that, and then bring in Foden in 13. I think that's the way to go. Enjoy the game, have fun with it, and you'd rather have a chance of getting some points than just having a 0 sitting there. What do you think, Hugh?
Yeah, no, I think as you spoke earlier, you're transferring out a player that's not playing this week. So you're already ahead when you get him in. You're only a -2 then. And yeah, as I said, there's good upside with Trossard this week. You definitely could get an assist or a goal. So you then, 4 or 5 points out in front then. And then, yeah, the switch to Foden, I've said the last probably 6 weeks, I think Foden is the best asset for City outside of Haaland. I rated him more than picking up KDB just because Foden can, bang those big scores out and, almost a quarter, like 4 mil cheaper. So, yeah, and I love that move this week.
Yeah, good stuff, PSB. And look, if you don't want to do Trossard, you can always look at Mason Mount, mate, if you can afford him, but I'm assuming you can't. Oh, then again, no, you must be able to if you're going Maddison, because Mount's cheaper than Maddison. So, yeah, I don't mind the Mount move. But yeah, Trossard's obviously got a fixture.
Mate,
and
he's turned into a Mount.
I know.
In 24
it's ridiculous.
hours.
I've turned into Mason Mount. I've turned into Frank Lampard. I've turned into Quentin Lampard. Because Lampard loves
me for the
Mason
first
Mount.
6 weeks of this season, mate.
Yeah, I have. Comment from James Gadsden. He made the move, mate, to Gomez, and King Mo is in. He's back. 2 free transfers, 14 playing. So he's done well. He's obviously gone into back Mo Salah. Hopefully your brother isn't watching the stream because you just know he's probably going to copy your transfers, copy your team, so he can try and stay ahead. So hopefully he's asleep because it is nearly 11 p.m. here in Melbourne. We've been on the stream for nearly an hour and a half. If you have got any more questions, please get them in because we're happy to stay on for a few more minutes and answer some more questions because deadline is in 5 hours and 3 minutes. So yeah, get your questions in. Want to keep answering them for as long as we can. Shireen has asked another question. What's your thoughts on Gross? Pascal Gross, I prefer I guess you may not be able to afford Trossard, which is why you're asking. I like him. I think you do lose a set piece threat now or the penalty threat because McAllister takes them. So you could even just gamble on Nottingham Forest being an absolute calamity at the back and maybe giving away a couple of pens and going for McAllister instead. I know there's rumours Lallana's going to start this game, or I think the Brighton boss said he was going to start this game. So maybe is it Gross that moves out of the team? So you kind of have to be careful. But yeah, I think for me, it's kind of split down the middle between him and McAllister if you're looking at that kind of price range for Brighton. So yeah, I don't think he's a bad shout, but I think it could be between him and McAllister in terms of who gets the nod. And I think if I had to pick between the two, I'd pick the pen taker with McAllister because, yeah, Forest seems to give away a lot of pens, but then Henderson seems to save pens as well. He's got a really good penalty shot record. So, yeah, Q, what are your thoughts?
If it's for a hit, probably not. But also, my love for my favorite Argentinian in the Premier League is McAllister. So
yeah, you love him.
I probably wouldn't. I think if you're not getting Trossard, I don't think you go anyone else because I think Trossard for me probably has the most upside in that side. And then I could see a bit of rotation, as I've mentioned, these midweek fixtures. It wouldn't surprise me if, one of them didn't play. And it's a flip of the coin for both of them. So I just probably wouldn't in a week where you're wanting to field as many players as possible, and the last thing you want to do is get one of them in, and then they're on the bench, and then you're getting maybe 1 point off the bench. So, yeah, outside Trossard, I probably wouldn't.
Okay, good stuff from Q. Saying no to Gross. Loves Leandro Trossard for this week. But look, if that is the if that's it, if that's the no more questions that have come in, we'll give it another 20 seconds. If you don't get any more questions for game week 12, FPL deadline, it is in exactly 5 hours time. If we don't get any more questions in the next 10 or 20 seconds, we will look to wrap up the stream. Thanks everyone who's come in tonight. We've had so many questions, loads of good chat in the comments tonight. Has been awesome. Some good back and forth between everyone. Quentin's been really good tonight, mate. Thanks for coming on at FPL Amateur of Oz. So give him a follow if you don't already. Like I said, if you can give the video a like, give the channel a subscribe, hit the notification bell. And yeah, awesome. It's been really good. We've got one more question that's come in. Here we go. So we've got another one. Abhishek Patra, would you play 10 plus Sufal or take a -4 to replace him with a Palace defender? I'd just take the 10 and I'd probably just play the 10 and Sufal. And then, yeah, just hope that it's not 6-0. And like, even if he gets a point, it's better than nothing. And then, you know, you're taking the -4. And then I think, you know, it's probably not worth it. I don't think it's worth it. Obviously, if Palace keep a clean sheet, you're gaining 2 points from the -4. But I'd probably just play the 10 plus Sufal and just leave it at that. What would you do, Q?
Yeah, I'd just leave it at that. Sufal does have the attacking upside, so even if they do lose 4-1, 5-1 or whatever, I think it's going to be a trickier fixture than that. I think it could be, 1 or 2-1. He can still get an assist, and you don't want to take a -4, bring in a defender, then next minute Palace concede. He's on 2 points. I hate taking hits for defenders just for that reason, as it's very quickly can just go away to a 2-point game or a 1-point game.
Yeah, good point. And I think, you make a good point there where you say if Palace do concede, then it's like, wasted transfer when you've already got 10 plus Sufal. You've already got an 11, basically. So yeah, great comment there from Q. Jermaine Edwards says, thanks guys. It's going to take your advice, Q. He's going to free hit for game week 12. Well, Q loves a free hit early on in the season.
I used mine already this year in a similar predicament. So yeah, mate, I love it.
Good stuff. All right. And then another comment that come in. PSB, amazing stream. Quentin and Matt combo is always a hit with a fire. Thanks, mate. Yeah, we love it. To be fair, it's been a while since me and Q have been on a video stream. I think we were doing quite a lot in the early season. Then we had another one a few game weeks ago. And then I come onto your pod recently. Was it your A-League pod I come onto? Yeah, and the watch-alongs we've not been able to do because we're in the east coast of Australia now. And the times are just ridiculous. So we've not been able to do a watch-along. So it's good. Yeah, we are going to look to do some more streams over the coming months and World Cup stuff as well. I'm trying to get on as much A-League stuff with Q as well for anyone in the comments that might follow the Australian A-League. But yeah, Q, it's been great having him on. Like I said, the disrespect wearing a Man United shirt, though, is... but yeah, no, it's been great. It's been great. Shireen, so you've already got Gross in your team already. Okay, sorry. Yeah, play him then. I think it's fine. If you've got him in your team, you just play him, don't you, Q?
No, definitely. Yeah, no. Like I like Gross, but I just thought if you're taking a hit or getting him in, I probably wouldn't. But if you've got him in your side, definitely play him because, as I said, he could easily be 3-4 goals in that game and, he'd get an assist.
And if he doesn't start, but he comes off the bench, there's probably a point more than someone that isn't going to play is getting, isn't it? So, like, you'd rather take that than nothing this week. Thanks, that helps. That's good to know. Thanks for joining the stream, mate. I think you've been on the channel a few times now, mate. So it's great to have you back. And I'm pretty sure you subscribed. So great to have you here. The Goal Difference, amazing show, guys. Appreciate it, mate. I love your stuff as well. Obviously, I've tuned into a few of your streams. It's been brilliant to have all your comments in here. You had some good comments as well. Obviously, you're an Arsenal fan, so it's good to have some Spurs and Arsenal interactions in the stream. And Shireen, great stream, guys. Thanks. We both appreciate it. And then Lana Lewis, thanks, guys. Great job. So yeah, really appreciate it. Look, I think we'll call it there. It doesn't look like we're going to get any more questions. Give
Every
it
time I
5.
see that name, I'm just thinking Bleeding Love's playing in my head.
That's
now.
what I'm thinking. It's in my head. Yeah, like it's just in my head. I think it's going to be in my head now for until we do another stream. Tell you what, as well, for everyone that's still in the stream now, if you don't have any more questions, put in the comments. Get the notifications on. I'm going to do a stream for the deadline. For game week 13. Obviously, Liverpool Forest is the early game, or Forest Liverpool. Probably going to do a stream either Friday night in Australia or the Saturday on the day of the games. Quentin might come on, actually. I'll speak to him offline, and maybe Quentin might come on and join. And then I might even go onto his podcast at FPL Amateurs of Oz for that game week as well, if Damo can't make it. So, yeah, you'll see more of us in the coming week. But look, let's leave it there. It's been a great stream. Thanks for everyone that come on. Like I said, if you haven't done, give the video a like, comment, subscribe, follow Quentin as well at FPL Amateur of Oz. If you watch us on pre-record, still get your comments in. It'd be great to still see your questions. And yeah, any last words, Q, for game week 12, the midweek game week 12?
Probably don't overanalyze this midweek fixture because, as I said, there's so many random results get thrown up, and you could seriously think that you're making good decisions and taking hits and that, and at the end of the day, if the results might not go your way, then you feel worse. So I'd just go for your gut. If you're backing your side that you have with 10 players or 9 players or whatever you decide this week, I'd just go with it because you're probably going to feel worse if you sort of think too much about it, then end up taking these hits and then wish that you didn't after the deadline. So, yeah, I reckon it's back your gut, and yeah, hopefully it's a good week for everyone and an even better week for me. So,
there you go. PSP just said he's playing Quentin in a draft league. Good luck, mate.
Oh, mate,
You
I'm
are gonna need
fodder.
it.
I'm like fodder. I'm like those little fish that are in the water that the big fish prey on at the moment in draft league.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, we'll call it there. Thanks everyone again for tuning in, and we will see you in the next one. Good luck for game week 12, and hopefully green arrows all round for all of us. See you guys. Thanks.